Okay, hello. So today I'll be working on my pants trouser. So the trouser that I'm making now is the one that comes with taping around the side. So I've done my taping around the side, but so the next thing I'll be using my pattern to cut out my fabric. Now the best way to place your pattern on your fabric is like this. If you look at the fabric very well, you will notice I have the upper part of the front going this way and the upper part of the back going this way. So this way you can easily save your fabric while cutting like this. In addition, if you are cutting like this with a fabric with pattern, you don't have to do this. But what I'm working with now is a fabric without pattern. So I will start by cutting the front. Now, because the front comes with a taping around the front and the back, rather comes with a taping around the side, I'll be cutting without side seam allowance. I'll be cutting without side seam allowance. So this is how I'm cutting it. So with this now, there is no side seam allowance. Considering the trouser length of what I have here. So my trouser length is 105 cm. So I'll take the measurement like this, 105 cm together with my hemming allowance of 2 inches, which is 4 cm. So I already have the 105 here with the pattern. So I will add the allowance of 4 cm, which is equivalent to 2 inches for hemming allowance. Now there is no sewing allowance on this part, but this part here, I will be having my standard half-inch sewing allowance for this side. So because of my side taping, same way I have no sewing allowance on this side is the same thing I'm applying to the back. So check this very well and make sure what you have here is the 4 cm for hemming allowance, which is 2 inches. Make sure you get the exact length first before applying this hemming allowance so you don't mix it up. So I'm done with the front. I'll be cutting the back same way. So I'm done cutting the back and the front. So I'll be indicating the wrong side of the fabric with my chalk. Now I did the cutting without adding seam allowance to the side due to the kind of trouser that I want to make. I need taping around the side. So I'm also done with the taping. So I'll be bringing out the taping for you to see. So the taping I have here is this. So this is what I want to use for the side seam taping. Now with this now, I have the exact length or slightly longer than the trouser itself. But the width of this is 2 inches. Now the reason why I'm using 2 inches is because I want a 1 inch taping around the side. So with 2 inches, I'll be taking out 0.5 from both sides. So it will be left with 1 inch. Considering I want to make use of this particular point around the midpoint of the trouser for my taping. So I have 2 inches. So by the time you're done with that, the next step should be you placing paper tape on the wrong side and iron it together so it will look firm and neat. So what I have again is the pieces of the fabric. So I want to make use of these pieces. So I'll be using this for pocket and band. I don't like wasting fabric, so I'll be very, very careful with the fabric that I have. So it will be enough for me to get my band and my pocket. My pocket is 2 front pocket and 2 back pockets. So I'm using 14 inches length and 14 inches width. So if I fold it like this, what I'm getting is 7 inches folding. So the way it is like this, I'll fold it into 2 to get my 7 inches for the width first and get a 14 inches length. So take the length this way. 14 inches is what I want to use for my length, so I'm cutting from this point to this point. Now there's no particular measurement for this curve. Just try and make sure you have a curve that will fit the trouser that you're making. So you're still using this particular fabric, the pocket, to cut the other pocket, because you're making this in two pockets, two front pocket for the trouser. Now these pieces, some of them are still useful because you still have the flap of your trouser to cut and the belt track. So this, I will use this for my belt track, so I'm keeping this one aside. This particular one, I will use this one for my flap. Then the flap facing, I will cut from this fabric. I'll cut from this fabric 3 to 3.5 inches width, while the length is 8 to 9 inches length. So let me bring out the length from this before removing the width. My width, I said, is 3 to 3.5 inches. So I have this for my flap. So this is still the same length of the length is 8 to 9 inches length, while the width of this is still the same 3 to 3.5 inches width at the top, then with a curve around the side. Now you don't need to apply anything like stay on this one, but the facing, you're applying stay on the wrong side of this facing. You're applying stay on the wrong side of this facing. So I'm done cutting my two front pockets and also my flap. So the next thing should be my band. So what I normally do is, for band, I cut out 4 inches by 20 to 25 inches width. It depends on the measurement of the waist. But for my size, which is the large size, waist 32 to 34, 25 inches on both sides will be enough for you. So what you do is, I'm folding this into two by getting 4 inches to 4.5 inches length, while the width is 20 to 25 inches width. Okay, so I'm done cutting the trouser band. So I'll be applying my collar stay on the trouser band. So my collar stay is 1.25 inches. I don't like the 1.5 inches band because it's usually looking big. So I'm using the 1.25 length, while the width is the same width of what I have here that I'm making use of. So the best way to apply it is place it on the wrong side of your fabric like this, with allowance of 1 cm or half inch here. So if you are using this, make sure you're using the dry part of the iron to steam it, not the steam part. So by the time you apply this, always make sure you work with your clapper. Place it around the edge so it doesn't shrink your fabric. That's very important. The moment you remove your iron, always apply your clapper to it so it doesn't shrink your fabric. So do the same ironing for both this and the other one. So I'll be applying it on this other part, whereby I'm still using the same 1 cm allowance. My 1 cm allowance is still intact, so I'm using it all the way to the edge. Iron it this way, remove I'm removing the excess. So by the time you're done with this, the next thing should be you folding the 1 cm upward like this and continue with the ironing again. Now, because I don't want to use a trouser band, I still want to use the same fabric for the trouser inner band. So what I'm doing, I'm creating allowance of 1/4 inch and trim off the excess. I'm still making use of this for turning because the trouser I'm making is coming with a belt track. So in between this opening that you're seeing is where my belt track, I apply my belt track. So I'll slash all the way, keeping 0.25, which is 1/4 inch allowance. So I'll do this same thing to the other band. So I'm done with my band. The next step here is cutting my back pocket. So I'll be making use of one back pocket. So if you're doing two back pockets, the same process that you're going through. So what I'm doing now is the length of my pocket, I want it deep. So I'm using 15 inches length. So the 15 inches, by the time you fold it into two, it's giving you 7.5. So, but it will be longer than that because of one part is higher than the other part. So, but the width is 6 to 7 inches width. So if I'm doing 6 inches width, I'll be cutting 3 inches folded into two. But since I'm doing 7 inches width, I'll cut 3.5 folded into two. But my length still remains the 15 inches that I'm using. You can also work with 14 inches. It depends on how deep you want it. Because standard measurement still remains 14 inches, even for the back pocket. So I'm done cutting this. The next thing is the pocket cover. So the pocket cover is still the same measurement in terms of width with the pocket itself. But what you are doing, you are cutting 3 to 3.5 inches length. I repeat, 3 to 3.5 inches length. But the width is still the same width of what you have here. So since my width is 7 inches width, so I'll still be using the same 7 inches width for the pocket cover. But for this, you are cutting two of this. So I'm using this one to cut another one more piece. So apply collar stay. Ensure to apply collar stay on one part like this. The collar stay should be on the wrong side of your fabric. So the same thing you're doing to the other part, apply collar stay. So I have my pockets, band and everything intact. So the next thing now I'll be moving to my trouser, the gumming of my trouser. So what I have here is the front part of my trouser. So I'll be cutting out 2 inches paper stay. Then place it around the part where I'll be fixing my pocket, like this. So what you are getting should be 7 to 9 inches length, but 2 inches width, and place it this way on the wrong side, please, on the wrong side of your fabric. Done with this, turn to the other side, the other wrong side of your fabric. Apply the same paper stay on the fabric. This will make the fabric, the trouser, look firm. So you do the same to the front part, which is the crotch part. Now for this crotch part, you are cutting half to 1 inch. Apply it to the crotch like this. So apply it like this. So when you're done with this, the next thing should be taking your fabric, the trouser, to your weaving machine and weave all the edges. Don't forget to weave all the edges even before you start sewing. That's the perfect way of making a trouser. Okay, I'm done with the weaving of my trousers, all the edges. So the next thing will be using iron to straighten the edge. Ensure you smoothing all the edges with your iron. And not just the trouser, also the side taping. Also ensure that you use your iron to smoothen the edges because of the weaving thread that will be showing around there. This also beautify your work, make it look very neat. Also trim off all these extra threads that is showing. So this is the back part of my trouser, so I'm also doing the same thing. So from this point now, I'll be moving to the machine to sew my back dart. The back dart for both trousers. I have trouser, the back leg for my trouser. I have two parts, so I'll be moving this to my machine to sew both darts. Okay, so I'm done with the sewing of my dart. Now this is how it's looking. So I have the 3 inches sewn all the way down, while the allowance here is 1 cm allowance that I usually do. But in your textbook, don't forget you have 1.25. So you can still do the 1.25. So I'm just doing this to have enough ease around the waist. So the next thing to do, hold it this way, iron it towards one direction. Iron it towards one direction. So I prefer iron it towards the crotch direction. So once you do this ironing, then turn to the right side of your trouser and make sure you also smoothing this side, so you will be having this pointing look. So apply this and do the same to the other leg, the other back part of your trouser. So this is the other part of the trouser that I'm ironing, the pocket part. So get your pocket bag, this 14 by 14 inches, 14 inches length and 14 inches width. Don't forget to weave both edge with your weaving machine, both edges of the with your weaving machine of your pocket bag, the 14 inches by length by 14 inches width. So straighten it with your pressing iron. Now the next part that you're working on is applying paper stay to the dart where you are fixing your welt pocket. Apply paper stay to it. So cut the paper stay, make it 2 inches, then 2 inches length. The width should be the width of your pocket bag. Don't forget our pocket bag is, the width is 6 to 7 inches width. So I'm using 7 inches for my welt pocket width. So that same 7 inches is what I have on the paper stay. Now place it like this and iron. Place it like this. Iron it very well. So after all this now, I'll be moving straight to my machine where we will need to start our sewing process. So the first stage of my sewing technique is to insert my pocket. Insert my pocket using the front part. So your pocket still remains the same way. The first thing is place your fabric wrong side meeting wrong side. Allow the pocket to be higher by 1 inch. Your pocket should be higher by 1 inch. So from the 1 inch higher like this, take in 2 inches and mark. So square all the way down by 7 inches on a slanted line. It should be on a slanted line, please. Then mark with your chalk. Then from that point, notch in your sewing allowance, either 1 cm or ½ inch. Notch in your sewing allowance like this. Then fold it this way. And start your sewing. So I'm using 1/4 inch for my sewing this way, but please make sure you have a very straight line. Ensure to notch and trim off all these threads that you're seeing. So after this, I'll still be top stitching. So this top stitching is optional. If you have straight lines, you can do the top stitching. But you notice your line is not straight, please don't do the top stitching. Then open it like this. Trim off the down part. So the reason why you are doing this is for the pocket part not to be too bulky. Then top stitch on the pocket bag like this. Fold the pocket into two this way. So this time after folding, what you're getting your 2 inches back that you took in. So raise the trouser up like this. Join both edge of the pocket bag, meeting each other like this. From this point here, drop down 1 cm and notch in 1 cm. Drop down 1 cm and notch in 1 cm. Place the bag and flip. While you flip, place both notched parts, the notching part that you have, place both of them together. Then start your sewing from that notching part. Ensure that you have a straight line of the pocket bag going all the way down. Then return the pocket bag to the right direction. Place and sew again to top stitch. It's very, very important. This seal the pocket perfectly well. Now this is what we have. Come down to this side and sew multiple times. You still have your 2 inches coming out from this point. So place and sew again. So this is the final part of sealing your pocket. So with this now you can trim off the excess. Now because you are making taping around the side, so from this point you are still not done. So bring the taping and place right side meeting right side. So your sewing allowance, we added ½ inch as our sewing allowance. We added ½ inch as our sewing allowance. So it's the same ½ inch I'm using as my sewing allowance. Ensure to move the pocket bag at the down part so you don't seal late. So my sewing allowance still remains ½ inch all the way down. So I'm done with this. I'll be moving to the other front leg. So all what I did here is the same thing that I'll be doing to the other side. So this is what we have here. So when I'm done with this, I'll move to my ironing board for ironing. So I'm done with the sewing of the pocket and the side taping of the front. So this is what you do. Open the seam this way and apply your iron. So please try and make sure you perfectly do the ironing while you're doing it like this. So after this, still turn it to the right direction to be sure if you are getting the perfect look, and also iron it again this way. So from this point now, you apply the same to the other leg, the other front leg. The next step is the trouser fly, which is also known as flap. So I have this that will apply to the S-stay that we talked about. The S-stay should be on the wrong side of the fabric. So this is the facing, the 3 to 3.5, while the length still remains 8 to 9 inches. So apply your iron. So after this, take this to your sewing machine and sew all the way around, leaving this side open. Sew all the way around like this, leaving the side open. Then use your weaving machine to weave all the edges of this particular facing. So I'm done with the sewing of the pocket, the trouser fly, and the weaving of the trouser fly facing, which is the edge. Done with the weaving. This is it. So look at what I did. I did the weaving of this side, and this side, leaving this upper part because it's going up. At the end of the day, my band is covering this part. So after you're done with this, so you can turn it to the right direction. Turn it to your right direction and iron. So we'll be moving to our machine. Now from there, we'll be fixing the backward pocket and our trouser fly. But let's start with the trouser fly first before doing the backward pocket. So fixing of your trouser fly requires you doing this. The first step is come to the crotch, the front crotch. Drop down 7 inches. Drop down 7 inches like this, and notch in your sewing allowance. So our sewing allowance remains half inch. Notch in the half inch for your sewing allowance like this. Then get your iron, flip it this way, going towards the pocket side, and iron. Please iron it very well, properly. Iron it properly like this. Do the same thing to the inner part. Flip it inside, inward. And also do the ironing again for both. Look at it. So move straight to our machine for sewing. So here I am. The first step is bring the right leg of your front part of the trouser. We have the right leg, we have the left leg. So what I have here is the right leg together with this folded pocket flap. Then get your scissors. So I like trimming the edge of this scissors. It's optional, you can do without it, you can trim it if you want to. So place it like this on the trouser fly. Bring the right part of the trouser, the folded parts you have, don't forget you folded half inch. So place it this way. Place it this way and sew the tip. So once you get to where you have that notch part, you stop. So you're done with this. The next part is bringing the left leg together with the facing. Now place the facing right side meeting right side like this. The parts, the weave part should go down. Now just try and make sure this particular facing, you can see right side meeting right side. The facing itself should be longer than this notch part by half inch or 1 inch. So for this one, I will be doing half inch for this, so I can trim off the remaining excess that I have here. So what I have here is to do the trimming of what's don't forget we did the folding. After notching, we folded it in. Now when you have this placed together like this, what you'll be seeing is that same folding allowance will be showing. So now you are sewing on the folding allowance. That is what you are doing. So you don't even need to rule any line or take any measurement. The half inch folding allowance you have here is already showing. So just sew through it. Get to the notch part, you stop. You can trim off this. The reason why you are using half inch for this part is because you want the other part, the right leg, to be longer. The right leg facing there to be longer. Now I have bias that I'm applying to the tip. So I'll be using bias to hold the tip this way. This is pant trouser bias. From where the notching stops, continue with the bias, holding it all the way down. If you don't have bias, while you have your weaving machine, you can leave it like that. You've already weaved it. You can leave it, but this is just to beautify it. That's all. So you do the same to this other part. Apply the bias and sew. Done sewing, trim it off like this. Now this is what you do. Place the part with zip this way. Then bring the other part without zip. Make sure this is looking this way. Place them, both of them should be together around the notch part. Now if you are placing it around the notch part, ensure that this is going in by 1 cm to quarter inch. Quarter inch to 1 cm, sorry. Quarter inch is not as big as 1 inch. Sorry, quarter inch to 1 cm. Quarter inch is not as big as 1 cm. So place it this way. Then start your sewing from where you have this notch part. Start your sewing from where you have that notch part. Place both together like this and start your sewing from there. You can sew this more than once. It is very, very important to sew this more than once. So return it back like this. So from this point, I will advise you to take it to your iron, smoothing this side before bringing for the other sewing. Okay, I'm done with the ironing. Look at what I'm getting, looking smooth like this. So the next step is place this to cover the zip. Ensure this covers the zip by 1 cm, fully by 1 cm. Please take note, fully by 1 cm. It must cover it by 1 cm. So once you have this covered like this, so the next step should be flipping this. Please, as you are flipping, ensure that this is not moving. It's still on that same 1 cm covering. So place it this way, then turn with the zip this way and sew on the zip, holding the facing, the fly facing this way. So I'm done with that. So the next step is the final finishing of the fly. Now it's still like this, looking neat, covering. The zip is not showing. Now return it back again and see if you are done with this. Notice everything is looking neat. So what you should be thinking of now is how to seal this finally. Place it like this with the same 1 cm that you have. Now this fly should be fully open like this. Please ensure it's not this close, it's open like this. Then sew. From this point to this point should be 1 inch or 1.25 inches. You can do 1.5 inch though, but 1.25 will work for you. Another way of doing this, you can still cover this, but since you've done the weaving of this, so this is not like important. So this is something you can do away with. One to 1.5, take notes. But I'm using 1.25. Ensure that this is still open, please. All the way down, then with a curve towards the tip. With a curve. You can do the slow swing. As you are doing this, be watching what you have under here. And lock. So I'm done with my trouser fly. I'll be moving to my ironing board to smoothen what I have here. Then we'll move to the back and do the back welt pockets before joining the side seam together. So I'm moving to my back. Don't forget I told you I'll be working with one welt pocket. So your welt pocket, if you are doing one, it should be on the right hand side at the back, right hand side. So this is the left hand side. I don't need this. This is the right hand side. I already have my paper stay attached to it. So the next thing you do is get your facing. You have two facings that you're making use of. Fold it into two so you can centralize instead of notching it. Place it like this. Get the midpoint and make sure it's fitting this way. Now apply your pin to it so it doesn't move. Apply your pins. Now move to the down part. I like this side to be looking very straight. If this is not looking straight, your pocket will not be straight. It's very important to ensure that this is looking very straight, please, for your pocket to be straight. So place this together this way too. Still apply the pin. Fold it into two like this. See the way I folded it? So fold it like this. Then bring your pocket bag. You can use pocketing for this bag. It is even advisable to use pocketing so it will be light, not bulky. Now place it like this. Allow the pockets, while placing it like this, allow the pocket bag itself to be longer than this by 1 inch. It's very, very important. Allow it to be longer by 1 inch. Then return it back and use the pins to hold both the facing and the pocket bag. So it should be like this before you start your sewing. Now this is what I have. Now before you start your sewing, do it like this. Move in rather by 1 inch. Move in by 1 inch and place your needle down. So from this midpoint, I'm going up 1/4 inch. Before I start my sewing, I'm going up 1/4 inch. Now stop the sewing 1 inch before you get to this edge. Now, since you're done with the sewing, you can remove this particular upper pins. Then move to the down part. Make sure you have a very straight line. A very straight line in the sense that what you have here, where the sewing starts here, should be what you're having at the down part too. So what you have here should be the same thing. Now look at this. I have a straight line from here to here. I have a straight line from here to here. So what you do, fold it this way and please notch from the midpoint. Notch, please don't cut fully first, just notch so you have it showing at the down part like this. So insert your needle at the midpoint, your scissors at the midpoint, and continue cutting. Once you cut to 1/2 inch before you get to this thread, stop. Raise up like this. And notch, raise up like this and notch it down to the tip of where this thread is. Once you get to where the thread is, you stop. Raise this other part up and apply the same technique. Once you get to where the thread is at the upper part, you stop again. Do the same thing to this other side. Half inch to this sewing, you stop. Raise this up, notch to the tip of the thread. Raise this up again and do the same thing. Get to that tip again, you stop. So from this point now, we'll be moving to our iron, to iron it so it gives us the look of the pocket that we want to achieve. Okay, so I'm done with the notching. So the next phase is to iron it the way I want my pocket to be. So what I will do is, from this particular point here, I'll raise it up fully like this. Make sure you have it fully up this way. You iron. Take it up fully, you iron. Once you take it up fully, you iron. The opening that is showing will be replaced with the down one that you have here. Will be replaced like this. Just make sure you iron it very well. Then turn back to this side. Replace that opening with this particular one by folding it this way. So at the end of the day, what you are getting is, you are seeing this fold from the wrong side. You fold, you iron. Ironing is very, very important when it comes to your welt pockets. Now return it to see what you are getting. You can see the difference now. Our pocket is taking shape. So from this side, you can put in that part that you notched. Tuck both of them in like this. Tuck them in and still apply your iron. Do the same to this very side, apply your iron. So we'll move to our machine to seal the final pocket. Now I'm moving to my machine to do the final sealing of the pocket. So what you do, that particular part that you tucked in, first of all, you raise the trouser up, then raise the pocket bag up. So what you'll be seeing is the part that you tucked in. So place it together like this and sew on it on a straight line, please. Sew on it on a straight line this way. Make sure you sew and you lock. For this pocket to be neat, you need to make sure you have a straight sewing from where that notching part stops. Now turn to the other side and do the same. Now return it back and see how it's looking. It's still not looking very neat to me, so I still need to hold more inside. Okay, this will be good. Okay, this is good. Then place it this way. Top stitch this facing on the pocket bag. You can weave the tip or fold the tip inward before doing your sewing. As you can see, I like trimming all this excess that is showing. Now place it this way, fold the pocket into two, the pocket bag into two. Then notch this part, notch this part. So once you do your notching, you flip it So I've done my notching already. So what I'm doing next is I'll turn this and flip it to this other part. Place both notch parts together. and start the sewing like this. Now do the same to this other side. So when you're done with this turning, flip it towards the right direction where you can fully seal it now. Now the pocket back is almost set. Now you top stitch the full roundness of your pocket bag like this, sewing on 1/4 inch. So we are sealing this top together with the pocket bag. Then you trim off the excess. Now when you're done with this, bring your bias tape in. Tape it around the back crotch like this. Now this is optional. If you have weaved the down part, this crotch part, there's no need for you to do that. But if you've not weaved it and you have bias, then you can do this. So we are doing this to both crotch. So I'm done with this crotch. So what I'm doing now, I'm bringing the other back crotch so I can also do the same taping around the back part. So this is my second crotch, the second back crotch. So place the same bias taping around. Okay, so I'm done with the joining of my taping. So I'll be joining the side seam of the back with the side seam of the front together. So this is how we'll go about it. I'll start from the top. I like joining from this side first, the side seam, before joining the full crotch together. So my sewing allowance still remains ½ inch. So once you do your sewing to this point, this is where we have the seat part, which is known as hip for female. Once you get to this point, stretch it or place it together to the down part and see if both of them are meeting each other. What you need to get is equal line all the way down. This is very important. So place it like this. The reason why you are doing this to know if you are to stretch it a little for it to meet. So continue with your sewing. Mine is meeting, so I have to continue with my sewing. Continue with your sewing till you get to the end point. So we'll move to our ironing board to join this, to open and iron this midpoint. Then we join the other side seam from this side ways together and do the same ironing. So bring your ironing board like this, then come with the side seam, open it this way and iron. Best way to iron, you can sprinkle water on it before you do your iron. Make sure you are having your clapper close to you while doing this. So as you iron, you apply the clapper to it, most especially for shrinking fabrics. Do this ironing all the way up to the waist. Once you're done with this side like this, then flip it to the right side and see what you are getting so you can complete your sewing. You can complete your ironing rather. So practically I'm done with this side. I'll move to the other leg and do the same ironing so I can get a perfect smoothing on both sides before moving to my machine for the other part joining. So I'm done with the ironing of both sides. So the next part is to compare what I have for this particular waist together with the waist measurement. So the waist measurement I'm using is 35 inches. So I'll take it from this point to this point. So what I'm getting here is 39 inches. So if I remove 2 inches from this side, I'm getting almost exactly the same waist that I'm looking for. So I'll move to my machine and do the joining of the two inches so I can remove 4 inches from both sides from both sides. So my sewing allowance here, what I'm removing here is 4 inches. So I'm doing it like this. Sewing allowance all the way down to your down crotch. So when you're done with this point, now this particular part, you can make the sewing, you can do the sewing twice. You can sew this part twice to avoid any embarrassment around this part of your trouser. So when you sew this twice, it saves you the stress of going back to do any amendment in case this part decides to lose. So after doing this, the next part is your inner seam sewing. So from this part, start calculating your measurement. Now place it like this. Take what you have here. The trouser bottom width I'm using is 35 cm. So I have to take this measurement and see what I have, so I can know what I'm doing using for my sewing allowance. So what I have here is 40 minus 35 cm. What I'm getting is 6. So I have to hold like 3 cm from this point on both sides. Now the reason why you're having that excess is because of the taping, the side seam taping that you have there. So here's my 3 cm intact. So all the way. As you are doing this sewing, it's also advisable come to your mid crotch. Place it this way to see if it's meeting without you having to stretch it very well. Mine is meeting, so I'll continue my sewing. So I'm doing the sewing considering my knee allowance and my thigh allowance. This is very important. Compare your knee allowance with your thigh allowance to see if you are on track. Thigh measurement still remains 59 60 cm. So what I'm getting here is 66 cm. So I'm still holding my 3 cm all the way up. My 3 cm still goes all the way down to my desired length. So from this point we'll move to our iron, so you can straighten this part very well. So for your ironing part on the board, place it this way. The first thing to do is use your iron to straighten it this way. Once you're done with this smoothing, then place it, centralize and open it like this, and start the ironing like this by opening the same allowance. Do the ironing all the way up to your crotch. Now switch to this other side. Place it this way so you get the midpoint, then open your seam and continue the ironing again. Now when you're done with this, we turn the trouser back to the right direction. Flip over to the right direction. I'm done joining and ironing the trouser. So the next thing is my belt track. That's what I'm cutting now. So the fabric I have here is 1.5 inches folded into two like this. Then you're folding it towards the wrong direction. Then you sew on 1/4 inch all the way down. So I'll show you how to do this and how to make the turning of this. So I'm moving to my machine to do my belt track. I'm done with the ironing of my trouser. So the fabric I have here is 1.5 inches. Now the width here is 24 inches width. So this 24 inches will be enough to make 6 belt track. Now the belt track, I have 2 at the back here, one side and then 2 around the front here, which is 6 in total. So the length here is 1.5. The width here is 24 inches. Now 24 inches will give me 6 belt track because I'm cutting them 3.5 inches per one. So my sewing allowance here is 1/4 inch sewing allowance. So this is how you do it. Place it this way and sew 1/4 inches all the way down. Quarter inches all the way down. So once you get to this point, cross over like this because you'll be needing your long screwdriver or broom to do the turning. So I have my long screwdriver. I'll use it to do my turning. So after turning it, this is what I'm getting. Trim that part, cut off that part that you locked, then turn it back to your table. Now iron it properly from the sewing part that you are seeing. Iron it properly from the sewing part that you're seeing all the way down. Now it's the sewing part that you're ironing from. So by the time you place it on your fabric to sew, you won't be seeing that sewing part around the belt track. So do this, turn to the other point and smoothen it again. So this is one of the importance of iron. So iron it very well. Now remember I said I'm cutting 3.5 inches for my belt rack. So I have one 3.5 inches. So I'll use this particular one to start cutting the rest. So I have equal measurement for everything. So what I really need is 3.25. But to be on the safer side, let me work with my 3.5. Should in case I have excess, it is better for me to have it not up to the measurement, required measurement needed for this. Like I said, I'll be needing 6 of this. Okay, this should be the 6th one. So from this point now, I'll move my band to my machine. So I have 2, 4, 6 belt track, which will be enough for me. So I'm here with my trouser band and the belt track. So this is my trouser band. So the first thing I'll do is get my trouser band, place it this way. Now on the part that I have, which is folded, place it like this and start my sewing. As I'm sewing, I'm inserting my belt track. So look at how I'm doing it. Start my sewing this way. The first belt track comes in very close to the pocket from this side. So what you do, from where you have this one, you can take in 1.5 inches and start with that. So I'll continue with my sewing until I get to my next side seam to insert the second belt track. Now I'm close to that point here. I'll insert my next belt track like this. And continue with my sewing. Just ensure that I continue with the sewing. So the next one is the third belt track. Now you place it where your pocket starts from, this way. That is the last one for this particular line. Then we'll move to the other line to complete it. Very important, trim off this excess that you're seeing. So I'm moving to the next back, the next band part. So place it like this and start. So I did 3 for the other side, so I'll be doing 3 for this side. So the first one for this side is also the same thing with the other one, where the pocket starts from. insert it this way. This is where the pocket starts from. The next one will be on the side seam. I'm using the side seam where my taping is. Then the last one will be, like I said, 1.5 inches away from the back waist, from the crotch, the back crotch, 1.5 inches away from there. Then trim off your excess. So here is my band cover. So before you place the band cover, make sure you place this. You place it like this. Look at the band here. Where you have it sealed this way, drop down 1/4 inch again. Drop down 1/4 inch and tack it together with your trouser. Move to the next one and do the same thing. Quarter inch below, tack it. Move to the third and do the same thing. Quarter inch below, so I'm done with this side. I'm moving to the next side. Same 1/4 inch below. So this is the final part here, where I still do the same tacking of 1/4 inch below. So the 1/4 inch is supposed to like expand your belt track for a bigger belt, a bigger leather belt to pass through. So when you're done with that, the next point should be bringing your trouser band cover, place it like this, and do the sewing all the way down to this point. So I'm starting from this side. As you are doing this, just ensure that your flap is in between. Very important, ensure your flap is in between. Ensure your flap, your belt rack is in between. Your belt rack should be in between like this. Until you get to this end point. Now all these little excess that I have here, I'm doing away with them by cutting them. So I'll apply same to this other side. So I'm also done with the joining of this other belt track. So what I need to do now is to seal the back crotch all the way up, down, all the way up to the band. So I'm done sealing. The next point now is I have options for this particular part, which is the down part of my band. This particular down part, I have options. Is either I fold it a little and sew from the other side, or I weave all the way. So I prefer weaving it so I can just round up with this particular one. So I want to weave this down part now. So I'm done weaving. The next point is to iron it, iron the trouser band properly. So I'll have to flip to this direction, then start my ironing before sewing. So this is how I like doing my ironing. So flip this side too. So I have to iron my band very well before sewing. So I'm done ironing the band. So the next sewing will be sealing the entire band together with the trouser. So I'll be sewing around this tip, from this tip all the way around. So I'm done joining my band. The final stage now is the ironing of the trouser. So the best way to iron your trouser is folded it this way. Don't forget your lines is already meeting each other the same way you started the ironing. So place it like this. Make sure you centralize it very well. Do the same to this other side. Centralize it this way and take it up. Then start your ironing from this side. Iron it very well like this. As you iron it, just make sure you don't miss the lines. It is the iron that you use in straightening the lines that you have here. This way. Okay. Don't forget you are using the iron to get the straight length. Once you are done with this part, flip it like this and do the ironing of this other side. So we're done with that. The next point, we have to bring the other leg and do the same thing we did to that first part by centralizing the pattern, the trouser with the pattern like this, and cool enough water, and start your ironing. Now from this point again, we'll still have to flip the iron, flip the trouser rather, to this other point, and still smoothing it the same way we did the other side. So I'm done with the ironing. So I'll place both of them together and get my trouser length. My trouser length is 105 cm. 105 cm is my trouser length. So I'll place like this. So 105 cm is my trouser length. So now here is 105 cm. I'll mark the 105 and fold, then iron. Fold, then iron. Place it back. One oh five is trouser length. So do the same folding since we already have one leg folded. So both legs should be on same length. So what you do, you fold the other leg this way. So you get both of them the same way. So you either iron and apply hemming gum, or you sew, whichever one you feel will be better for you. But for me, I am using hemming gum to the down part. I try as much as possible to reduce the amount of sewing that appears on my outfit. So I will also encourage you to do same by using hemming gum instead of sewing the down part of the trouser. So Thank you very much, and I hope you enjoy this class.